What's up, guys? It is Sam here, and we have the most comprehensive data set that ranks the Democratic candidates that are running for president, in contrast to something like Real Clear Politics, where we have a sample size of 500. 500 people responded, and the media, in this case CNN, reports that 500 people they sampled is representative of the collective of what 350 million people think. Yeah, I know. So, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. All right, so we have 9 different factors here. The first is the Google search volume ranking. Just candidates, whoever has the most amount of search volume in the 12-month, 3-month, and 1 month, rank them and take an average to see who is the most relevant in America. Then we do the same thing on YouTube based upon the search volume and the 3 different time periods, because these are the 2 biggest sites on the planet. The next we do is their website ranking right here. And the website ranking is interesting because that gives you an indication of people's interest in the candidate, because they're directly going to their website, and also tells a little bit about how much they're going to potentially get in their donations. Because what are the 2 reasons you go to a website? To get some type of information. Yeah, you thought I was going to do this, didn't you? No. To get some type of information, focus, and to purchase something. In this case, it would be a donation. So that is the next ranking we have. Then we have our Facebook ranking. So this is based upon the growth rate in likes and whatnot on their Facebook pages. Each one of them stacked ranking against each other, as well as the growth rates, the total number of likes, as well as the growth rates in some of these factors. You can check out the channel if you want to see any of this stuff. And if you want to stay up to date with what is actually going on in politics in terms of who's winning, press that subscribe button. The next is Twitter rankings. Again, this one's interesting too, because we actually not only do we take into consideration the absolute number of followers they've gained, but also the growth rate in that. We take a look at how much work they are putting in on the platform based upon how many times they are tweeting. Because think about this. If you go to your neighborhood and you knock on 1,000 doors, whether that's a business or a residential place, and you just start introducing yourself to everybody, and I do that to 10 houses in your neighborhood, who do you think is going to know more people? So if you go, same thing works online, right? On every online platform you can think of as a neighborhood, right? So on Twitter, if you show up to people's doors, as in you tweet 700 times a month, and somebody else tweets 136 times a month, who do you think is going to get more relevance? Get their message out to more people. The next one is our YouTube channel rankings. So this is actually each one of the YouTube channels for these candidates based upon the total growth rate in the subscribers, the total number of subscribers, the total number of views. So this is very telling, because these are people who specifically went to each one of these candidates' websites and consumed their message through their content. So that is a very interesting ranking in and of itself. I definitely enjoy that one. The next 2 we actually just added in fairly recently. And the first one is Instagram. So in terms of Instagram, we want to understand how quickly they are getting followed, because that gives us an indication of their message is actually sticking with the public, because people are interested, as in they're going to go follow this candidate because they're interested in what their message is or supporting that candidate. And the others are the media production, similar to Twitter, to see how much work they are putting in to that platform as well. So we can get an idea of the level of sophistication when it comes to the internet. Because if you're watching this, then you probably know that you have to win the internet in order to actually win an election. And the next that we just added for this power rankings is TikTok. And TikTok's one of my favorites too, because with TikTok, we actually get a very good understanding of who Generation Z is most interested in. Because a lot of the audience on TikTok is Generation Z. And they are actually predicted to have the highest turnout increase relative to the last election out of all the other generations. All the other generations are predicted to go down in terms of participation, except for Generation Z. And Generation Z is the largest generation by like 25% relative to millennials or baby boomers. So that, I really enjoy that one. The last one is actually the awareness. And with the awareness ranking, we try to capture like what's happening around the candidate. Like, are people like super interested in them? Because some of these factors you could potentially game. But like, we wanted to understand if like there was other people talking about them, what their support was, how engaged their like network of people that are supporting each one of these candidates are. So we took a look at things like the hashtag usage on Twitter, the hashtag usage on Instagram. On YouTube, we looked over the last 24 hours to see the number of videos that have been published with each candidate's name either in the title or in the thumbnail, and the views on those videos as well as the number of those. And things like that to understand who had the most support from their constituents in terms of who is trying to get that person elected. And then we take all of this together, all 9 of these factors, and we average them to come out with our power ranking. So this is our 6th edition for that. So let me, what just happened? I didn't do that on purpose, but the top 5 candidates are, I swear I didn't do that on purpose. The top 5 candidates are Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, and Elizabeth Warren. So this is super interesting because this is the most comprehensive data that we have here. And Joe Biden's actually 3rd. Bernie is number 1. So if we go back over to Real Clear Politics, right? They have Biden and Sanders as 1 and 2, Warren, Pete, Bloomberg, Klobuchar, and then Yang. But in reality, Andrew Yang is number 2. So that's kind of interesting. And if we take a look at the actual numbers here, so the last time we did this was in mid-December, and just to see who is moving around, right? And as we can see here, Elizabeth Warren has lost 2 spots. She had that, there was something that happened with her in December, which she gained awareness. But she's been losing ground. Amy Klobuchar has been picking up just ever so slightly. And that's very recently. But I think more so her increase comes from like other people dropping out, honestly. Because Bloomberg comes in and he doesn't have any... a ton of relevance yet. But interestingly, Tom Steyer dropped 2 spots. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. And use the hashtag STOLT. But more importantly, if you agree with what we're doing here and you think that we should at least start having this conversation, that there might be a better way of understanding what the American public is interested in, share this video with somebody who you think can get value out of it. It helps them if they can get value out of it, and then it helps out the channel and get this message out to more people. So with that, we're going to get into the Q&A here. So if you do leave your question down below and you use the hashtag STOLT, just like Anita Yang did here, then we can go over your question at the end of the next video. Yang Gang is making a difference on the ground. Awesome. New York Times endorsed Warren and Klobuchar. Your stats do not reflect this. So in terms of, this is in terms of the preliminary Iowa caucuses video. And let's see, New York Times and so-and-so have endorsed Klobuchar. Well, I mean, New York Times has to be relevant, and people actually have to give a shit about the New York Times and what their opinion is to have that be enough to impact the search results on Google and YouTube, which would give us different data for the Iowa caucuses. Because if people don't really give a shit what the New York Times thinks, then that data, right, they have to influence people to search, because we're looking at the 2 biggest sites on the planet, the YouTube and Google. So if them endorsing them doesn't intrigue more people to search for Elizabeth Warren or more people to search for Amy Klobuchar, then it's not going to show up. Because we're just looking at it like that. But that's like opposed to this, right? We come over to Real Clear Politics, and they had a sample size of 500. So that's not even slightly relevant, in my opinion. Versus like, yes, there's things that could be left out of this. I agree 100%, 100%. But I do think it's 1,000 times more comprehensive than what we were working with. So thank you so much, Anita. I really appreciate that. Next is from A Mind with a Heart. With Heart. I love the name. Setting up Patreon is super easy. So I do have to set up a Patreon. I actually quit my job, and I've got about 15 or 18 months worth of savings to figure it out before I fucking run out of money and have to figure something else out about making money. So if you want to support the channel out, check links in the description, and I would appreciate it. Or if you just share the message with somebody, like you don't have to, use an affiliate link or anything like that down below. And this is what A Mind with Heart is actually referencing, because setting up Patreon, I set up a Patreon, but when I click on somebody else's Patreon, there's like different tiered options with different advantages and that kind of thing. So I set it up, but I can only see one tier. So I'm not sure how I even set that up as one tier. I've poked around their website. It doesn't seem super intuitive. Like coming from somebody who's never used the platform before, it does not seem intuitive at all to me, right? Like I'm sure I can build that intuition by using the platform more, but I have no idea how to use it. I've looked at the site probably like 3 to 4 times, poking around trying to figure it out, and I still haven't figured it out. It is on my list of things to do this is my list of things to do, and it is on here as one of the things to do for today. So appreciate you bringing that up, and appreciate all you guys' support through this process. He also leaves a comment, he or she, apologize if it's not. Maybe you've answered this already, but what about Facebook? Facebook is where the boomers are. Seems pretty accurate to me, and that could explain some of the difference. Polling favors boomers and YouTube skews younger, correct? Okay, awesome point. This is why I love you guys' comments. When you use the hashtag stole, then we can talk about this stuff, and it's super interesting. Okay, so she's leaving this in terms of Facebook to try to, like, this is one portion of understanding what's happening, right, in terms of the Iowa caucuses. But the macro picture here, I can't, that I know how to do it. I think I'm gonna have to pay for a membership or something, but I don't see, I haven't found any way to get Facebook specific data to Iowa, to get the search volume specific to Iowa for Google and for YouTube. I can do through Google Trends. So it's relatively easy to be like, hey, who is searching in New York for Pete Buttigieg? And then I can just check Google Trends and see who is searching for him, right? Relative to all these other players. And I don't have any data that allows me to do that on Facebook. Not that I wouldn't love to see some data like that. That would be super epic. But I haven't found anywhere to get that data. Maybe something can come along the process. I'm also working on putting together a website, and so I want to be able to put all this data online for you guys to take a look with. You can play with it. I don't want to just keep it here, because I think it would be way more valuable getting the message out if more people can see it and play with it, the data themselves. Because I'm aggregating it all here, which is awesome, right? But at the same, and then putting it out to the world through YouTube videos. But I'm sure there's some, probably some people that would find this information interesting, and they'd like to go look at the data themselves, not through just looking through their phone and then be like, what are those numbers? I can't fucking see them, So thumbs up if you know how to do any of that stuff, and if you know how to work with like a web crawler and that kind of stuff, because I want to be able to pull this data live, because I think that would be super interesting. So if you know how to build websites, leave a comment down below, and I'd appreciate it. I will reach out to you. And thank you so much, everybody, for your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.